Good morning, everybody. This is Tony Hain Shipkowski here for ACT 630.50a. Just want to quickly review Twiddler.com and show you some of the features that it has and how I would use it in my classroom and just how it relates to our reading from Rice this week and the Dickers, Whiteside, and Lewis article. Twiddler.com is pretty cool. It's a whiteboard capability website that also gives you some other features as well, which I'll talk about here in a little bit. I just want to quickly go to the pricing page because that breaks it down for you by one user, named account, or if a district or some type of class buys it, it's $99 a month for 10 people, 50 named accounts, $350 a month, and then you can have it for a whole class or a teacher with multiple classes to use this as a learning management system if you really wanted to. A couple key things that I want to talk about. I'm not going to go through everything just because I want to save some time and get more into the teaching aspect of this website. You have the ability to save for this website. The only problem is you have to have a named account. I can't save anything just with a guest account. It is archivable, and you can go back and watch meetings. You can take screenshots if a document was shared, and that screenshot can serve to you as the document. Unfortunately, you can't edit on the page. I can't click on something. If I share a document, I can't click on a word. If it's spelled wrong, then spell it correctly. I would have to highlight it and then in a text box say what it should be, which I'll show you here in a little bit. You do have unlimited storage for documents, images, meeting histories, and replays, which is really cool because then you can go back, like I said, and screenshot the meeting in case a student missed a class for whatever reason, whether it's technology or sick. You can run up to 10 meetings at once with a subscription, so you can use that for breakout rooms. And I'll show you how I would use that as a teacher here in a little bit. You do have a time limit and a guest limit with a free account, but as you can see here, you don't really have that problem with a paid account, whether it's one person or multiple. You can email the people meeting URL, which it talks about down here in these supports, which is pretty cool because then you can also have a password protected meeting or SSL, which protects for enterprises. So if it's a business meeting of some sort, if you want to take it to that level, or students are talking with a NASA person. I know NASA can be very protective of the meetings that they have with people outside their organization or even with people within, that you can protect it and only have access to it through a password protected meeting. You can share documents on here. The only thing is you can't, like I said, you can't edit them. You can share images and you can share emails for important things, which then can be accessed through the replays and screenshot and used later at another time. You can do conference calling, which I thought was a pretty cool added effect in case you want to bring in somebody from the outside world, so to speak, and have a meeting with somebody in a different field, which is something that Rice and a couple other articles that we've read throughout the semester talk about. So let's dive into this. I don't want to take too much time. I just want to show you what I found. I did play around with this website for a couple hours over the past couple days. I'm just going to do this briefly, show you how I would use it, and go from there. One of the things that Rice talks about with good synchronous, asynchronous technologies is that it's a good brainstorming option. Now, for math, I would probably use this as a think, pair, share, or more of a breakout room. Like I said, you can have up to 10 meetings at one time, and I can send particular students a password and a URL to access a quote-unquote breakout room. But again, I can't do that without a free account, or excuse me, with a paid account. I did try to sign up for the 30-day free trial, and I still haven't received an email, and I tried that last night. So I'm going to just show you what the free options are right now. In the brainstorming that Rice talks about, it talks about creating concept maps. So as a language arts teacher, if I were one of those, you can come up here and you can create a box and say, okay, in this box now, what's our main topic here? And you can type in anything you want. Let's just type in football and and you can create things, different break-offs from there. Does that mean American football, like tackle football, or is it European football, soccer, which I love? As you can see here, anybody can jump in. Unfortunately, they can't talk to me because it's not a paid subscription. But if it were a paid subscription, I wouldn't have anybody in here but me. And it kind of gets annoying, especially when you're just trying to play around with things and people keep bothering you. The erase option is pretty cool. You can erase little bits and pieces, unlike the Zoomcast, which some of us used last week for our lesson, where you erase like the whole object at once. I kind of like this option better. Speaking of which, if you come up here and you share a document through the Etherpad, which I thought was pretty cool, unfortunately without the paid subscription I can't do that. But if I wanted to share, this is one of the assignments I use for a small group project in my class. If I wanted to do this in a breakout room and have a couple kids in each breakout room focus on, okay, I could edit this on my own and then save it or share it with them, where I say, okay, I want you guys to do, tell me the distance from Earth to Mars. And I'd come in here and I'd say, okay, I only want you guys to do 2 pairs from Earth to Mars and Mars to Saturn. And I can erase anything else on this page that I want them to do, or don't want them to do, excuse me, which is a pretty cool option. So it definitely focuses in for each group. I can leave the instructions there, the example, and they can work on it all on their own. Now, like I said, I can't type in here in terms of editing the document, but I can add a text bubble here and say, okay, let's make this easier on myself, and I want you to do Earth. And then over here I could add another text box and say Saturn, and go from there. Okay, and then they can access another website, nasa.gov, and they find the distance in miles or kilometers, and then show me, as their math teacher, what is that in scientific notation. This is one of those crossover lessons that we do at Lebanon. I touch base with my science teacher on my team, and we talk about this together in both of our classes. So it's a great crossover activity, and using this synchronous asynchronous tool really helps me with that. Another thing that Rice talks about on page 109, 110 is the shared resources, which I just kind of showed you with the document sharing and the Etherpad ability. Again, I can't click on the word scientific notation here and edit it. It just doesn't let you do that. But I can, if I wanted to, if we were doing this in a language arts and assessing for spelling and grammar, I can have the kids underline the word or whatever is spelled wrong and then add a text bubble of how to do it properly. And again, you can share a web page and erase, if it's a class that's web-based design or something, you can erase the web page and talk about that. One thing that Dickers, Whiteside, and Lewis talk about is on page 163 is the knowledge and experience. Both the teacher and students that were interviewed said that this is the second most important thing. And in the first paragraph of that section, it says the NCVPS teachers are challenged to individualize instruction for a diverse group of learners. Again, this TWIDLA offers the breakout rooms, and with that being said, you can have one group that struggles with, okay, how do I take this number and put it in scientific notation? And I can work with them in a small group and show them how to do it before they do it on their own, individualizing instruction. And also having a little more student-centered. Have them walk through the process and tell me how to do it. I can go into another room and say, okay, you guys got this one wrong, scientific notation, what did you do? And then they can teach me, but at the same time I can assess them through their learning and understanding. The one big one that this falls under, for what Rice said on pages 109 and 110, is problem solving. The problem-solving synchronous asynchronous technologies. And on page 117, Rice is quoted as saying, students should have the opportunities to discuss complex materials and concepts, reinforce previous learning, share experiences, formulate opinions, practice skills, and develop a deeper understanding of their perspective in a risk-free environment. Well, this kind of thing, as you can see, somebody just erased my whole page, that you can pretty much do anything here with the breakout rooms. And you can talk about, in the breakout rooms, what one group might understand, and you can share examples there. While another group is, I can share a page with them and say, okay, do these problems. And I can jump to them and work with them, and they can talk to me about what maybe they misunderstood, or like the one math teacher did in her breakout rooms, students can finish a problem on their own and at the same time develop steps to help other students figure out how to do these problems. A great example of what I'm talking about there is on page 164 of the Dickers, Whiteside, and Lewis reading, and it says here, instructor involvement refers to the extent to which the instructor or instructors is invested and an active partner in the learning community. A student was quoted as saying the instructor doesn't have to do anything, but they need to help guide us in the right direction. TWIDLA offers that option. You can go into breakout rooms, and I know I'm focusing on that a lot, but the breakout rooms offer you the ability to work with students individually or in small groups and correct some common misunderstandings, or assess them for their understanding through having them show you how to do a problem step by step, which I think is really cool. I like to do that a lot in my instruction as well. On page 125 of the Rice reading, she talks about the jigsaw method, which I thought was pretty cool, and I actually never thought about using this until playing around with Twidla. Is I could share, and if I was on my work computer, I could share a document with all my students. And the nice part about this document, like I showed you before, is I can erase certain problems, and I can say, okay, this group, I want you to do these problems, but then when we come back together in a whole class, I want you to explain how you did them. And then that's what the jigsaw method is that Rice discusses on page 125. And I can have another group go off and become quote-unquote experts in their set of problems that I give them, and then they can come back and show us how to do that. I know I jumped around a lot there and talking about different things. Just a quick wrap-up. I know I'm over 11 minutes now, but product development, you really can't create or edit any document here, but you can assess someone's writing through the different tools like the drawing, the lines, and highlighting or underlining something that's wrong and adding a text box to do that. One final thing that I did want to show you that is not up here right now is the options that it gives you for down here. You can do different mathematic formulas, which for me is great. Now, I don't use a lot of these in the classes that I teach, but I do use some of them, and it already has them built in. They also have the grids up here as well, and you can show kids how to graph, which is something that I'm actually working on right now in my classes, which is really cool. And you can, again, go into those breakout rooms or as a whole class and have students draw on here. I can take away those rights as their instructor, or they can use it. I hope you guys like Twidla, and I look forward to your comments on my video. I apologize for going so long, but Twidla has a lot to offer. And like I said, you can save a class, and students can go back and go through and find what they think is the most important. Have a great day, guys.